Many of you ask me, good afternoon, right? Good afternoon. Hope you're having a great lunch. But many of you ask me, Andrea, who is going to stop Andrea Mendonça? We're looking in the wrong direction. Stop, 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 stop. Stop. Get the code. We're looking in the wrong direction. It's not about stopping Andrea Mendonça. After all, Andrea Mendonça is a justice on the federal Supreme Court, and that's very difficult. And the Attorney General's office itself, I showed you this week, backed down from filing a complaint against Andrea Mendonça, even though the federal police had requested it. So we're looking in the wrong direction. It's not about going after Andrea Mendonça, no. Who, by all indications, is shielding Flávio Bolsonaro. It's about going after Flávio Bolsonaro. No, but then you say, Andrea, but how can we go after Flávio Bolsonaro if Andrea Mendonça is the one in charge of the investigations against Flávio? That's the point. The federal police is very upset with Andrea Mendonça because Andrea Mendonça is interfering with the federal police by all indications. According to the federal police's own statement, they even called on the Attorney General's office to take action against Andrea Mendonça. Andrea, the Attorney General's office held a little meeting together with André Rodrigues, the Director General of the Federal Police, and Andrea Mendonça said that everything was fine, and we know it's not. So the federal police is feeling a bit resentful. Then you ask, but what did Andrea Mendonça do? I'll show you here. Look, what has Andrea Mendonça been doing to interfere with the federal police? Like, it seems, to shield Flávio Bolsonaro and for the fishing expedition for evidence against Flávio, Lula's son. Look here. He asked for immediate access to all the material that the federal police find. Evidence. In other words, there won't be any forensic analysis of the evidence beforehand. There won't be a federal police report. There won't be any cataloging of the evidence. Nothing. He wants the raw evidence to be sent directly to him. I've never seen anything like this in my life. He is exerting control over staffing changes in advance. And he's kind of trying to do the reshuffling and have control over the changes. But that's not his responsibility. That's an administrative function. Whose? The general directors, André Rodrigues. The situation is so troubled that André Rodrigues asked for a vacation, just so you know. There's more. Look here. Determining the line of investigation. He's sitting down with investigators, with federal police chiefs, and with the situation of determining the line of investigation. That's not the role of a minister. In other words, he's directly interfering with the federal police and federal police chiefs in his office. He's putting chiefs he trusts in his office. So it looks like, from all indications, interfering with the federal police. The federal police are very resentful about this. So the question is this. Since it's not possible to go after André Mendonça because he's too big of a fish, and the GU doesn't do it, the Prosecutor General's office doesn't do it. Let's go after Flávio. But how, Andrea? My dear and my darling. I got the code. The federal police are out on the streets today carrying out 16 search and seizure warrants. This is the third search and seizure operation against Cláudio Castro. Alexandre de Moraes is getting ready to pounce on Flávio Bolsonaro. And because apparently there's no way to dissociate Flávio Bolsonaro from this criminal organization, allegedly orchestrated there by Cláudio Castro, right, Andrea? There isn't. Cláudio Castro is an ally. Evolution. Right away. Cláudio Castro entered politics thanks to the Bolsonaro family there in Rio de Janeiro. He is a former governor of Rio de Janeiro, impeached, ineligible, and soon to be a prisoner. And from this perspective, I suspect that he hasn't been arrested yet. Because they're giving him enough rope, because he's being investigated and monitored. You can be sure of that. They're giving him enough rope to catch him. If they catch him, they'll catch Flávio. And who's the rapporteur? It's not André Mendonça. It's Alexandre de Moraes. If you can't get the one who protects, let's get the one who's being protected. Who is the smaller fish? Who is Flávio Bolsonaro? Notice here, notice. And I want to see if you got it. Did you catch the code? How did I get it here? Look what happened. First, this operation happened, Operation Sem Refino. Federal Police targets Cláudio Castro and Ricardo Magro. What day, André? In May. In May of this year, this operation took place. There were 17 search and seizure warrants. There were 7 suspensions from office, all involving Cláudio Castro's secretaries. 52 billion in assets and funds were seized and frozen. And the operation covered Rio de Janeiro, São Paulo, and the Federal District. The main targets were Cláudio Castro, who at the time was no longer former governor of Rio de Janeiro, and Ricardo Magro, the boss, who is in fact on the run and is already on Interpol's list. What does the investigation cover? Tax fraud, concealment of assets, disguising of property, and transferring funds abroad. Ricardo Magro has already been on the run for some time and is on Interpol's list. The responsible minister is Alexandre de Moraes. Exactly, it has to do with the connection to the DPF das favelas. That's why it's Minister Alexandre de Moraes. But why are these things connected? Because the scheme is very big. It's much more than that. It's involvement with the Red Command. It's involvement with the militia. And this ended up in the hands of Minister Alexandre de Moraes. So what did they use? They used intermediaries, gas stations, from a refinery to launder money, because 52 billion, folks, look at how much money, look at how much power these people have. They used gas stations, they used the refinery to launder money, to circulate money, and so on. And Cláudio Castro, as governor, used the administrative machinery itself to facilitate this whole operation. And Cláudio Castro became governor of Rio de Janeiro, thanks to the support and the push that the Bolsonaro family gave him. And he is an ally of Flávio Bolsonaro. And the third search and seizure. You have a sector, a conglomerate of fuel businesses with this refit. And today a new operation is taking place. Cláudio Castro's address is targeted by the federal police in Operation Sem Refino 2, regarding fraud in refits environmental licenses. Now they're already uncovering more crimes that Cláudio Castro, while he was governor, and his secretaries forged licenses, forged environmental licenses, so that Magro, Ricardo Magro, who is out, could carry out the scheme there at the refinery. She is a woman, beginning, connection, pulls attention. That's the point. And here, my dear, for me, let's get Flávio. Who? André Mendonça? No. Alexandre de Moraes. And the federal police are committed. Look here, among others, there were 16 targets in total today. The federal police are out on the streets. Ana Carolina Miranda, Antônio Carlos Santos, known as Pipo, who is a lawyer. Antônio Bernardo Rossi, former state secretary of the environment under Cláudio Castro. Cláudio Castro, the former governor himself. José Mauro, former state secretary of digital transport under Cláudio Castro. Luiz Fernando Gomes, construction entrepreneur. Maurício Leite. The targets may be charged with fraudulent and reckless management, money laundering, tax evasion, illegal transfer of funds abroad, market manipulation, as well as crimes against public order involving the sale of fuel. And there are already at least 2 advisors to the secretaries from Cláudio Castro who are under arrest, and who were, in fact, appointed by Flávio Bolsonaro. The last one who was subject to a search and seizure was the former secretary of Procon, from Cláudio Castro, who was appointed by Senator Flávio Bolsonaro. If we can't catch the big fish, let's catch the small fry. Who in this case is who? Flávio Bolsonaro. And who's going to do that? Alexandre de Moraes. Listen to what I'm telling you. If André Mendonça is shielding, and we can't get the one who is shielding, let's get the one who is being shielded. Things are going to get rough, guys. Look here, okay? The scene here happened in May. Silas Malafaia went there to pray. By the way, he put them on the pulpit. They put them on the pulpit. Cláudio Castro, who's in trouble, and Cláudio Castro. He's being investigated in that inquiry where Alexandre de Moraes is the rapporteur, and there's another inquiry where André Mendonça is the rapporteur. Get the code. Look at the protection of the schemes there, more specifically of Cláudio Castro's public administration. But this other one is under Alexandre de Moraes. Alexandre de Moraes is really putting the pressure on. Then there was this event here where Silas Malafaia brought them up to the pulpit. Who? What a coincidence. Look who was here on the pulpit. Cláudio Castro himself, who got a knock on the door from the federal police today. Federal Deputy Sócio Cavalcante, who was found... Cheers! Cheers, Brazil! Nearly 400,000 was found in his house, and he still hasn't explained where the money came from. And Flávio Bolsonaro. Flávio Bolsonaro was also placed there on the pulpit to receive Silas Malafaia's prayer. So, like, they're close allies, guys. And the fact that André Mendonça is confronting the federal police, you can be sure that the federal police will teach André Mendonça a lesson indirectly. The federal police is responding. And the federal police will be able to find the evidence that links Flávio Bolsonaro to Cláudio Castro's mafia, which actually is also his. That's my perception. And by the way, today's operation had the approval of the Attorney General. And they will find the thread that establishes this direct connection. Did you get the code? So, our question now is no longer who will stop André. Our question now is who will catch Flávio? I don't believe it will be André Mendonça. It will be Alexandre de Moraes as part of this police investigation. Get the code, and the federal police will make every effort to do so. To send a message to Minister André Mendonça and to other ministers who might, by any chance, dare to challenge the duties and responsibilities of the federal police. That's how I see it. Is that right, André? Shall we wait? Or do you think André Mendonça will have the courage to go after Flávio? And do you doubt that Moraes will go after him? Go after him? On the contrary, I actually believe it. And speaking of criminals, look everyone. And who is the candidate who declared to the Electoral Court that they have almost 12 million in cash? Candidate. He registered his candidacy and declared that he has almost 12 million reais in cash stored at home. By the way, he's a friend of Flávio. Just a detail. Last election, he was barred by the Electoral Court. Why, Andrea? Because there are several investigations, and he's suspected of several crimes and of being the head of a criminal organization. You know what I keep thinking? If the guy declared, stop and think with me. If the guy declared that he has almost 12 million in his house in cash, I keep thinking about how much this guy must have hidden. Guys, look here. Brazil doesn't need new projects. It needs honest people. It's Jacaré. Which candidate declared to the Electoral Court to have almost 12 million in cash? He reported a 158% increase in cash holdings in 2 years and is running for office even after having his candidacy rejected in 2024 due to involvement in a corruption investigation. He's a friend of Flávio Bolsonaro. Here it is, look. You can look it up. You find Jacaré with Flávio everywhere. Oh my God. And I sincerely hope that the Electoral Court blocks his candidacy again. Because with the economic power he has and his infiltration into a criminal organization for which he is under investigation, soon he'll buy the whole city and get elected. And there will be one more criminal in the National Congress, unfortunately, right, Flávio? Oh my God. Meanwhile, Lula is hitting back hard. Lula declares and will inform the Trump administration today about the application of reciprocity while the high tariffs are in place. If the United States imposes tariffs on Brazil, Brazil will impose tariffs on the United States. Then some Bolsonaris come and say, no, André, Lula can't do that because blah, 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 blah. Oh, give me a break. Give me a break. Lula not only can, but should do it. Why, André? Because it's in the law. Do you remember? The law of reciprocity was approved there in the National Congress. Many Bolsonaro supporting representatives and senators also voted in favor of the law. Why? Because they were getting the reputation, the label of being traitors to the country. So they went ahead and voted. No, okay, then let's vote. It's the law. Lula has to do it. Did they tariff Brazil? They'll be tariffed too. But there's a very unique and important difference we need to point out. While Trump does this without following the law, without warning anyone, from one day to the next, this and that, Brazil follows the law. You have to be notified first. You have to sit down and try to reach an agreement first. Everything in order, everything organized. So later they can say, look, Brazil is a big dictatorship. Brazil came and taxed us. No. There is a whole procedure provided by law that must be followed. Communicate, sit down, talk, try to resolve it. So that later, if needed, they can tax as well. And Lula has no choice but to do it. It's the law. Do you understand, my dear? This is defending the homeland. Now, what's going to happen with habeas corpus over there in the United States? Donald Trump is going to be even more crushed. Donald Trump, the businessman, the people there are going to come down on him like a swarm of hornets. They're going to say, you see what you're causing here? You're breaking us, and now you're going to break us for good. So, want to solve the problem? Go after your president and fix it. Because if not, my president, a true patriot and defender of our sovereignty will do the same thing. What came our way will go right back. And that's in the law. Lula is right. He's not wrong. Look here. Lula's government announces reciprocal measures in response to Trump's tariffs and notifies the United States today. Today, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs is notifying the United States government about the start of the process and requesting the holding of diplomatic consultations, states the note released by the Social Communication Secretariat, SECOM. The process is based on the Economic Reciprocity Law enacted in 2025. The American tariffs are unjustified and arbitrary, and Brazil will continue to defend its position in all appropriate forums. So, Lula is right. Lula isn't wrong, no. Are they hitting us hard? We'll hit them hard too. Otherwise, we're going to get screwed. Even the Minister of Development, Industry, Commerce and Services, Márcio Elias, said so. The government is signaling that Brazil is using diplomatic channels and formal multilateral bodies, while the Trump administration makes unilateral decisions based on the president's wishes, in other words, disregarding any legislation. And even against trade, including that of the United States. Among the countermeasures planned is the possibility of imposing trade duties on imports of goods or services from a country or economic bloc and the suspension of concessions or other obligations. Brazil's actions regarding intellectual property rights established in trade agreements. Thank you. That's right. Lula is absolutely right. He's defending what's ours and all that. And that's important. Then the United States government announced yesterday, right, that they're going to start attacking drug traffickers in South America, here in South America, and that they're going to start with Colombia. Why don't they attack what's over there? Because a lot of the drugs being brought here to South America are coming from the United States. Why don't they fight it over there? And many of them carry very heavy weapons. Guess where those weapons come from? Look, from the United States, man. Look at that hypocrisy. The drugs, a lot of drugs, leave the United States and come here to South America. Why doesn't he stop them there? Many with heavy weapons. And where are the weapons from? All from the United States. But he said he's going to bomb here, to get the ones here, to get, in this case, he said he's going to start with Colombia, like the way he's doing with Venezuela. But we know what he wants. What he really wants is to blackmail. He's trying to sabotage. He's trying to intimidate, especially to try to stop Lula from beating Flávio, because Flávio is a coward. And Flávio already said he's going to hand over the government to Trump. And Lula won't do that. And that's it. But he's not going to be able to intimidate anyone in Brazil. We're going to keep going, and Lula will win for the fourth time. In fact, there was another poll released today. Quest. Lula wins in the first round against everyone. Lula wins in the second round against everyone. And that's it. And then a tie. There's no such thing as a tie, guys. Lula wins against everyone in the first and second rounds. Now, I've already said it and I'll say it again. It's important for Lula to win in the first round because the second round could be tough. Because don't fool yourself. All those people are going to unite to try to bring down Lula in the second round. So ideally, as the polls that came out today are saying, Lula should win right in the first round. Increase the percentages a little more, win right in the first round, and put an end to this mess right away. And shut these coup plotters, fascists, and extremists up, Donald Trump in particular. Now, obviously. Because then they're going to say, oh, it's fraud, blah, 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 typical coup plotter stuff. It's fraud. Oh, I don't know what. We already know this story, right? It's always the same old thing, especially since the father's government. That story, like father, like son. Bolsonaro, never again. Good. What? No. Today's Friday, guys. Don't leave me talking to myself. Don't leave me talking to myself. Put it there. Like father, like son. That was great. Like father, like son. Bolsonaro, never again. Don't be nervous. Don't be nervous. It's Lula's fourth win. And you can cry, you cattle. I can already see the cattle crying here. Oh, my father. Oh, I'm already Jesus. Cry. You can cry. It's okay. Go to hell, you bunch. Continuing here. The owner of the jet ski used for Flávio Bolsonaro's escape during the federal police operation is the target of a search and seizure. Do you remember? You don't remember? I'll remind you. I'll never forget. February 8, 2024. The federal police went all out. They searched all of Bolsonaro's addresses with search and seizure warrants. Was that when they got the main evidence from the key inner circle and all that? That's right. Then the Bolsonaro family was at the house in Angra dos Reis. Then it was said that at 5 a.m., they were riding jet skis. Actually, someone informed them there was going to be a federal police operation. They rushed, grabbed their cell phones, and went out to sea on jet skis. Do you remember that, my dear? I will never forget. In fact, after the 12th, this was on February 8, 2024. On February 12th, Bolsonaro ran and hid in the Hungarian embassy because he thought he was going to be arrested at that time. I will never forget.
That's right, yeah.
The owner of the family's jet ski, who was there at the house, enjoying the vacation and all that. The Bolsonaro family had just received the federal police at his house. Here it is, look. Hey, don't save. These people really do love criminals. Running for a seat in the chamber under the name Renato Araújo do Bolsonaro, the businessman was even nominated by the clan to be vice on Bacelar's ticket. Who is Bacelar, André? For God's sake, Rodrigo Bacelar? He's the other one who's in jail, my dear. Oh, Flávio, Xandão is going to catch you in the Rio de Janeiro corruption scheme. Rodrigo Bacelar is in jail. Rodrigo Bacelar, congressman, their congressman, already removed from office and ineligible, who was just arrested, earlier this year. Why was he arrested? Involvement with the Red Command, militia, corruption, and so on. He was the president of the Legislative Assembly of the state of Rio de Janeiro, and the Bolsonaro family had already decided that he would be Cláudio Castro's successor. He's the one who was visited by the federal police today. A friend of Poisé, Rodrigo Bacelar, from the same political group as Flávio and the Bolsonaro family. He's already behind bars, see? Actually, since last year. Yeah. Or was it this year? I don't know. I just know he's in jail. Along with T.H. Joyas and all that stuff, yeah? This guy was considered at the time to be there and be Bacelar's running mate. Because the story was like this. Cláudio Castro was going to step down from office to run for the Senate. He got screwed. He's ineligible. He can't. Then there would be an interim government. So who would take over? The president of the Legislative Assembly. That would be Rodrigo Bacelar. Then they were going to form the ticket. The two of them were going to form the ticket to try to win control of the Rio de Janeiro state government. It's all like this, you see? It's from Bolsonaro's circle, guys. He got a visit from the federal police today. It doesn't spare any of them, not a single one. No, that's not it. No, I think there's another one. Where's the other one? Here, look, Renato Araújo. From Bolsonaro's circle, a businessman and a friend of Flávio is under investigation for corruption in education. A company linked to the PL candidate was targeted by Operation Sarasvati. Renato is also the owner of the jet ski used by Flávio and a partner in the 31 Mansion project, which could benefit from the beach privatization bill. Do you remember the beach privatization bill? The first thing Flávio will do if he wins the presidency is to approve privatization on Brazil's beaches. It was put on hold. Do you remember? It was shelved, not archived, but put aside to see if Lula loses. If Lula loses the elections, the first thing Flávio will do is approve the beach privatization bill and privatize Brazil's beaches. Right here, he has a business, and he's going to be one of the main beneficiaries of this situation. And guess who his partner is?
Guess? You guessed it.
Oh my God. Oh, Jesus, let me tell you something, guys. For God's sake. It's not possible. It's not possible that you're going to believe these people. Oh, Jesus. Even Congressman Marcelo Freixo only spoke about the federal police operation just now. In the back and forth of Cláudio Castro and others, look here. Pay attention, go ahead and hit the like button, like, comment, and share. Go for it, guys.
Hey guys, federal police are out on the streets of Rio de Janeiro right now, searching seizure warrants from the federal police. The targets are Cláudio Castro and Bernardo Rossi. Exactly. Major frauds and schemes involving refit and also the Department of the Environment, where Bernardo Rossi was secretary under Cláudio Castro. Cláudio Castro, who was governor of Rio de Janeiro in a rigged election. Cláudio Castro won a rigged election. He beat us in 2022, right? That 2022 election he won was rigged, stolen, the CPF scandal, and several other scandals. And now, one after another, we're discovering major corruption schemes in Rio de Janeiro that harmed, that ultimately affected the lives of all of us here in Rio de Janeiro. In Petrópolis, that's where the federal police are right now. There's a house that belongs to Cláudio Castro, but it wasn't in his name. It was in a businessman's name, but it actually belonged to Cláudio Castro. Absolutely concrete evidence, including a $1 million wine cellar inside that house. What is this? Our money from Rio de Janeiro in this corrupt government and the stolen election by Cláudio Castro went to this kind of luxury for the former governor, and up until now, we still need to know why he isn't in jail yet, right, Cláudio Castro? And this house, it's in the name of a businessman who made over 300 million in contracts with the government, many of them without bidding, and the house belongs to Cláudio Castro under this businessman's name. That's what Rio de Janeiro has become. That's the disgrace that Rio de Janeiro has turned into. Federal police, congratulations once again. Cláudio Castro, Bernardo Rossi, schemes involving reflight, environment, fraud, and corruption. That's what happened in Rio de Janeiro in recent years, and that's the page we're going to turn. Federal police on the streets. Let's keep up with it. I'll keep giving more information here, and the question remains, why isn't Cláudio Castro in jail yet? right? He should have been for quite some time now. Who is keeping Cláudio Castro free to this day?
Well, I honestly hope that when he gets arrested, Flávio Bolsonaro goes along with him, right? Because I've already said, to me, Alexandre de Moraes is stalling to make his move. And when he makes his move, watch out. Since we can't get the one doing the shielding, let's get the one being shielded. Get the message. Get the message. Oh my God. And Carmen Lúcia also came out in defense of Flávio Dino and Alexandre de Moraes. With that whole situation of people defending criminal informants, in the name of the Lord, source confidentiality. While the minister is being attacked by these criminals, let's see what she said in yesterday's trial. I gave you all the details. In the 8:30 to 9:30 live stream, right, where I said the source confidentiality was not broken. At no time was the journalist forced to reveal who their source was. Now, that doesn't stop the police from investigating the source, especially if they are suspected of committing crimes and serious crimes. One thing is one thing, another thing is another thing, right? Look at what Carmen Lúcia said. Pay attention here.
First of all, President, I also want to echo Your Excellency's words in solidarity with Minister Flávio Dino, extending it to everyone in his family. We had here, Minister, well before Your Excellency arrived, actually since Your Excellency's arrival, a colleague who suffered terribly because her family had also been persecuted, with photos and everything else. It should be remembered, still back in 2009. And all this is to say that there are consequences, because that dear colleague of mine used to tell me, I chose to be here when I was invited, but my family didn't. So that's what needs to be properly recorded. And in this sense, I stand in solidarity with Your Excellency. My house, my building was vandalized in 2018. As is publicly known, everyone knows what happened. These are very serious consequences for the democratic rule of law, in which respect for institutions is upheld. Also, I can't help but second the words of both the President and Your Excellency, Minister Flávio. Minister Alexandre, rapporteur, here no action contrary to freedom of the press is being considered, nor could it ever be, because that is a right of Brazilian citizens. The only means we have, especially those of us who have lived, Minister Flávio is still young. I am almost a centenarian, approaching 100 years old. Minister Alexandre, needless to say, was born when we were already in full democracy. Or if he wasn't born yet, sorry, I'm just referring to the date, Minister Alexandre. He spent his youth already under democracy. This subject was not, but for us who lived under democracy, we know very well what it is like not to be able to speak. I have a complete collection of newspapers that we used to buy and read in secret, called, well, almost what it was actually called was Movimento. And we pretty much read it in hiding at college, so I know. And when I was a lawyer for journalists and the Journalists Union, it was exactly by standing up for them. So I know the importance of this. And I am convinced that no one here has any doubt about it, even less about source confidentiality, which Article 14, Item 14 of Article 5 is very clear about, guaranteeing the right to information as a fundamental right for everyone, guaranteeing source confidentiality when it is necessary for professional activity. But before that, Mr. President, I would also like to second.
Well, yeah, so it's all just empty talk and so on. And just to make it clear, guys, people say that Lula didn't lift anyone out of poverty, right? And Nicolas Ferreira got out of poverty. He declared assets of 36,000 in 2022. Now he declared assets of almost 4 million. Lula is getting people out of poverty, right, guys? Especially the Bolsonaro supporters. And this federal deputy here, look, is looking for Nicolas. Look here, Federal Deputy Paulo Guedes is looking for Nicolas Ferreira. Look here.
Come here, Nicolas. Come here, coward. If there's any aid, any friend, let Deputy Nicolas know that I would really like him to be here to explain the miracle to us. Deputy Rogério Correia, the miracle of transforming his assets in 4 years. Deputy Nicolas arrived here in the chamber and declared 4 years ago that he had assets of 36,000 reais. And suddenly, 4 years later, these assets reach almost 4 million reais. Deputy Rogério Correia, a 10,500% increase in 4 years. The deputy who usually comes here to criticize the Lula government, criticize the economy. Brazil's economy is doing very well, especially for Nicolas, because having this miracle of increasing his assets by 10,500%, 10,500%, 500%, without any explanation. You see, Rogério, he didn't open any company. He didn't win the lottery. So I would like him to come here. He likes to point out problems and accuse everyone. So he should come here now. Come here, Nicolas. Debate with me here. Explain this miracle of your assets skyrocketing so fast. You can put it up.
Took off fast.
As fast as Nicolas's assets in these 4 years. Nicolas, who with assets of 36,000 reais, had a wedding in Greece. One of the most luxurious weddings, right? With guests, with actresses, actors. Forcaro must have been there, since he's his buddy. Now we understand this close relationship between Nicolas and Forcaro. Forcaro is even more involved in this mess. Besides the private jet trips all over Brazil that Nicolas took, asking for votes for Bolsonaro. Right? He took the money. More parties, more private jets for Nicolas. Plus the imported whiskey, that 5 million a bottle whiskey. So Nicolas, now I understand why your wealth grew, right? It grew so much, faster than the US missiles against Iran. Come here, Nicolas. Come here, you coward.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Where's Nicolas, guys? Where's Nicolas to explain? I'll tell you. It's one of two things. Either Nicolas got in on Daniel Forcaro's scheme and became a millionaire, a multimillionaire, or Lula got Nicolas out of poverty. What do you think, guys? Because he's going to have to say, did Lula get you out of poverty with his government, or did you get in on Daniel Forcaro's scheme? Because so far, the one who flew 10 times on Daniel Forcaro's private jet was you. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 times on Daniel Forcaro's private jet. And your number was there. Saved on the phone, saved in Daniel Forcaro's phone. Either you're part of the scheme or Lula got you out of poverty. Oh my God. Damned if you do, damned if you don't. In fact, the federal police are out on the streets, aren't they? I'm explaining it to you here. Look. You know this one here? Look, who's being targeted by a search and seizure today? Bernardo Rossi, former state secretary of the environment, who's in the eye of the storm, who's being targeted by the federal police's Operation Agora. Let me tell you something. He's also a friend of Flávio Bolsonaro. No, Andrea. For God's sake, Andrea. He only has criminal friends, Andrea. That's right. I'll show you right now. Because otherwise there will be people saying, blah, 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 no, the baby is gay. Here, look. Here, it's this one. Look. It came out here in Forum magazine. See for yourself here. I'll make it bigger. Look here. It's here. Let's see what Forum magazine says here. Bernardo Rossi. Rossi, a friend of Flávio Bolsonaro, is also targeted by the federal police in an operation focusing on corruption in the Castro government. Former State Secretary of Environment, a Bolsonaro supporter, is one of the targets of the federal police operation that hit former Governor Cláudio Castro. It's here, look. Another person targeted in today's federal police operation involved with Cláudio Castro's scheme in Rio de Janeiro, who is a friend of Flávio Bolsonaro. So I ask you, is the federal police going after him or not? Flávio's case, they're already going after him. Can't they go after André Mendonça because it seems like he's shielding Flávio? Can't we go after and take down the one doing the shielding? Let's go after the one who's being shielded. Let's go to the other investigation, which, from all indications, has a tail, ears, and spirit. Of a pig with Flávio in the middle, which is the criminal organization there in Rio de Janeiro, led by Cláudio Castro, a close political ally of Flávio Bolsonaro. And the one who will take the case as the rapporteur is Minister Alexandre de Moraes. There was already a search and seizure in May, and now there are new searches and seizures happening. And the snake is circling the rat, and the rat will be caught. If not one way, it will be another. Tap that like button and hit it, hit it, hit it. We want justice. And Lula wins against everyone in the first and second rounds. And this talk that Lula ties is just nonsense. And I repeat, Lula can win in the first round. Put it there. Don't leave me talking alone. Don't leave me here talking to myself. At 4:30 p.m., I'm here with the highlights on the André Gonçalves channel, live, at 8 p.m., answering your questions. And at 10 p.m., super live. Did you miss everything here? The super live with all the day's information will be there. Kisses, smash that like button, we'll be together. And it's Friday. Today, I'm minding my own business because I don't like gossip. Kisses, see you later. Bye.